Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really powerful idea from Islamic tradition, the belief that one specific chapter of the Quran could actually hold the key to turning your biggest challenges around. We're going to look at why it's so significant, some incredible stories about it, and how you could actually apply it, all based on our source material.
So, to get started, I want to ask a question that, let's be honest, probably hits home for a lot of us at some point. Does it ever feel like you're just constantly dealing with one problem after another?
You know the feeling, right? You finally get one thing sorted out at work, and boom, something else pops up. Or things are great with the family, but then suddenly there's a health issue to worry about. It can feel like you're stuck in this loop where things are just hard for no clear reason.
Yeah, and this slide really nails those feelings. The source material gets super specific, talking about that feeling of constant anxiety that just hums in the background, family problems that keep coming back, or money stress that never seems to let up. It's that feeling of being totally stuck, no matter what you do.
So what do? Well, our first instinct is usually to look for an external fix, right? We look for a new job, we find a different doctor, we get financial advice. But the source for this explainer suggests a totally different approach. It says that before you do anything else, the most powerful solution is actually a spiritual one waiting for you in the Quran. Okay, so let's get right to it. The source isn't just talking about the entire Quran in general, but one specific chapter that's described as a literal treasure chest of spiritual power, Surah Al-Baqarah. It's the second chapter, and it's also the longest one. And this right here, the statement from the Prophet Muhammad, is the foundation for this whole idea. It frames this chapter in three really powerful ways. First, taking it on is a blessing. Second, leaving it is a cause for regret. And third, it's like an impenetrable shield that negative forces, what the text here calls sorcerers, simply cannot get through. So it's super important to understand what blessing means here. The Arabic word is baraka, and this isn't just about, getting one specific thing you asked for. It's this amazing, holistic idea of divine grace just flowing into every part of your life. It's more goodness, more peace, more abundance in your health, your money, your time, and your relationships. It's about quality and prosperity in everything. So you might be asking, where does all this spiritual power come from? Well, the source highlights a few really unique things about this chapter. So according to tradition, reciting this chapter literally changes the spiritual vibe of your home. It's said to drive away negative influences. And a lot of its power comes from what's inside it. It has the throne verse, Ayah al-Kursi, which is considered the single most powerful verse in the entire Quran. Plus, its last two verses are described as this special gift, a treasure from right under God's throne. The imagery is so cool. It even says that on the Day of Judgment, the chapter itself will form a cloud to protect the person who used to recite it. But you know what? Maybe the most jaw-dropping example of this protective power doesn't come from a scholar. It comes from someone who used to be on the complete opposite side of the fence, a sorcerer who eventually turned his life around. And this just perfectly illustrates that idea of a spiritual fortress. I mean, think about it. This is a person whose entire practice was based on messing with unseen forces, and even he had to admit that his power was totally useless against this woman's recitation. He literally recognized the shield of Surah Al-Baqarah from the outside, which is just, wow, what an incredible testimony. Okay, so that's what the scripture says. But how does this actually play out in the real world for real people right now? The source material is just packed with these modern testimonials from people who tried this and couldn't believe what happened. Take this one, for example, a medical student. I mean, can you imagine a more high-pressure environment? She was dealing with terrible anxiety. But after just 2 months of consistently reading the surah, she says that fiery heat of stress became cool and peaceful. She found this incredible inner stability she just didn't have before. And then there's this story about a major life goal. This young man really wanted to get married, so he started reading the chapter every day. And get this, he says the entire process, engagement, marriage contract, the wedding, it all happened in less than a month. He describes a kind of happiness that he can't even put into words. Okay, this last story is maybe the most stunning of all, and it's told by a doctor, a patient of hers who had been trying to conceive for 23 years. Let that sink in. 23 years. Became pregnant with no medical help. The only thing she changed? For 2 months, she had been consistently reciting Surah Al-Baqarah. Her doctor was absolutely amazed. These stories are so powerful, but they all have one thing in common: consistency. So you're probably wondering, okay, that's great, but how am I supposed to do this with my busy life?
Well, the source actually lays out a very practical, totally manageable plan.
So instead of trying to read the whole chapter in one go, because let's be real, it is pretty long, the idea is to break it down into smaller chunks. By connecting a small section to each of the 5 daily prayers, this huge task becomes just a series of small, easy habits that you weave into your day. All told, it might only take about 30 to 45 minutes, spread out from morning till night.
And the most important thing here isn't being perfect, it's just being persistent. The source is very clear that it might not be easy when you first start. For example, there's a story about a woman who had a really scary nightmare telling her to stop right after she began. She got scared and stopped, but her sister told her, no, you have to push through it. So she did, and when she started again, she overcame that fear and she said it was like a fog just lifted from her life.
And we'll end this explainer on that thought. All of these incredible virtues, all these life-altering stories are all connected to just one of the 114 chapters in the Quran. It kind of leaves you with this big, fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? If all of this is the blessing packed into just a single part, what kind of transformative power is waiting in the whole thing?